Everything's fiction. Everything's fiction. And we know from what science says, atoms are, most everything's empty space. So whatever it was I was channeling, that's what it was addressing, was this: if I die or I leave this reality or I try to experience anything beyond this, I'll be alone. So you guys can't discern things properly. And that's where your first mistake is. You know how a parent talks to a child like, oh, you silly. You're so silly. Oh, I love you. You're so silly. You're just so ridiculous, and there was some of that in the channeling.
Kind of like looking down to you.
Yeah, basically. And what was shitty about it is it kept saying things like, you're blaming it on me. I'm not the one. You're the one killing me. You guys are the ones killing each other. You're the ones doing this. I gave you free will. And so it was this kind of very patronizing, very, basically put shit in your face. And then, oh, but I love you. See, in spite of
we've heard that before. You probably had a whole host giving you all this kind of information, all these voices in your head at the time. But that's the problem. Like this is the issue. Sorry to interject here, but this is the issue with, like, you've got the mainstream kind of version of healing, which is useless, and then you've got all this new age plant medicine stuff that's, people are hooking themselves into all these different entities and opening themselves up. And just this week, I worked with a guy who worked with a channeler, and he just went off the rails afterwards. He couldn't get rid of this voice that was basically disempowering, like what you're saying there. He was saying that, and this entity gave him a whole load of like good information. Like, he sent me an email about it, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, yeah, I could see how that might be true. And then there's like what I call the rug pull and the dump in the punch bowl, because he went on in the email to say, Tony, this is pointless. Like, this entity, it controls everything. There's no point in fighting it, and we, all this kind of like. I could see where the rug pull was there, because I was like, look, can you see what's happening here? It's this entity is giving you all this kind of like half accurate or accurate information, all this truth, and then there's the rug pull. You can't do anything. You might as well give up. You might as well, stand down. There's pointless. Similar to what you were getting, where this entity was trying to disempower you, saying you're on your own and all this stuff, and that's what they do. And this is why I'm so vocal and passionate about speaking about this stuff, because like you're opening like Pandora's box when you do this stuff. Like, you don't know what's coming in, and all kinds of stories down the years. I remember one guy said he took ayahuasca, and this entity told him to go vegan, and so he went vegan. Then he got ill, down 2 years down the line, and like. It's just crazy, like how these things open us up, and I always say the general rule of thumb is anytime you alter your consciousness, even if it's just a little bit, even with microdosing, you're potentially opening. And weed as well. I mean, God, don't talk bad about weed. Like, if you want to get hated,
oh, I know,
talk shit about weed and marijuana. Like, people like. That's a really big one in the alternative media. They hate it if you say anything bad about that. And don't get me wrong, like, there's medicinal benefits, but when you're just smoking it like that, you're opening yourself up. And when I work on people that smoke it, I actually see like the weed entity, and I actually see like a green vine like wrapped around them. So it's actually a really potent thing for opening yourself up to stuff. So
you can actually see what they look like.
Yeah, there's like a cocaine.
Some entities.
Yeah, when like the cocaine entity's got like a really pointy face. So each drug kind of has its own entity. And
wow.
Yeah, and a lot of like alcoholics or ex-alcoholics, they tend to have. See, there's the different drugs, different things, different entities seem to like it more than others. So for an ex-alcoholic, if I work with someone who's an ex-alcoholic or trying to give up drinking, I'll always find a lot of demonic attachments. People that have taken ayahuasca, a lot of ayahuasca plant medicines, I find a lot of serpent entities. They seem to be attracted to that. Yeah, double-headed serpents. Cocaine is like pointy nose creatures with dark eyes, kind of like demonic, still the same. But it's interesting that all these drugs have their own entity. I mean, God, we could go deep into just talking about that. I mean, that's even like with the movies. I know it's going a bit off topic, but the movies, the horror movies, right? When you watch a horror movie,
oh my gosh,
I've that saw creature. I see that a lot on people. When I clear stuff.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks like that. Obviously it's
which one?
An astral entity. It's not a physical being.
He said the Saw character. The Saw character.
Yeah. I've seen the Scream mask thing a lot. I see that. So what we're doing when we're watching horror movies and terror movies, we're almost creating those entities, or maybe they're already created, and we kind of like invite them in just by watching the movie. I know it's really kind of out there to say these things, and
I don't think so, because I think we are a little off topic, but I mean, it kind of all ties in though, right? But I was obsessed. I used to think the whole goth vampires were. I mean, I had shirts that would scare the crap out of you to look at them with designs on them.
Yeah.
And now looking at now where I'm at now, I don't watch any of it because I think I haven't seen them. I can't attest to what you can attest to, but I believe they're real.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a reason why the vampire myth has been with us for so long, and it's a popular storyline, right?
Yeah.
So have you seen vampire type?
Yeah.
Entities?
Vampire type entities, spider entities, dragon entities.
Ew.
You've got the false light beings, the angelics, the blue beings, the greys. The greys are very prominent. Spider entities are probably one of the most common entities that I find on people. It's just teaming. There's entity races within different entity groups. You've got golems, you've got they all escape me now, but you've got machine elves, you've got egregores, you've got vampiric entities, you've got mantis beings, you've got insectoids. It's all fun and games in the astral. That's why I tell people, don't channel. Like you think you're channeling Archangel Michael. It's a reptoid or some kind of mantis being or reptilian. And this is what I know I'm taking over here a bit. I'm sorry, but
no, it's important to talk about.
But this is what happens when you smash your consciousness open like that, or you alter your consciousness. Your that interface with the astral becomes, it's almost like the veil thins. It's a thinning of the veil, or even like opening a portal. And so they're way more easier to access your energy field. And this can be done completely by mistake as well. Sometimes, like I've told the story many a time where I was just sitting there innocently a few years ago, and I thought, I'll try these binaural beats. I've heard a lot about them. Didn't probably discern the way I should have. And even with the Monroe Institute, the what they called the hemisync meditation. I got myself tied up in knots with that. Going back 5 years ago, I just innocently put them on. You think, Robert Monroe, not knowing at the time that he'd been co-opted and the CIA took over his work, stuck it on, listened to, I don't know, you've got to keep listening to it over and over. And in two or 3 days, I feel like I've got an implant in my head. And it took me a while to get rid of it. It was a nasty, nasty thing. But those meditations had opened me up to something. And the binaural beats, the same thing. I had a nightmare after that, clearing something that had come in and attached itself to my head. And I have people come to me all the time where they've listened to some video or some kind of meditation music or whatever. I'm not saying it's all bad, but you've got to be careful. We don't realize just how much the things we do open us up, even down to like things that you wouldn't think of, like having an argument with someone. Like, just say you're in a relationship and you have a blazing row with your partner. Like, you're both out of your center, right? You're not grounded in your own essence and your own energy. So you're kind of all over the place. And even in circumstances like that, they can attach themselves. So that's why it's important to always, try and remain centered. And of course, when you take drugs, you take alcohol. We haven't even spoken about alcohol. Perhaps we can get into that in a bit. But you're making it easier for them. Suicidal thoughts, that tells me that a strong attachment came in, because if you weren't having suicidal thoughts before, and then you took that, and then you got suicidal thoughts, that would be what I would call a level 2 takeover. So that's a strong attachment, which often come in times where people take plant medicines and that kind of stuff. So that marries up with the things that I'm talking about in terms of the effect that these things have and how they can open you up to not just attachments, but the heavier kind where you start getting these intrusive suicidal thoughts. So I just wanted to add that in, but sorry, carry on.
No, I mean, that's very important, because I think people need to realize, like, you're not in control. That's the thing. You don't have your facilities about yourself to be able to stand your ground, to stand in your sovereignty, because you're not like, it's messed with. This isn't something that people would be like, well, it affects your brain. No, this is something that systemically affects who our energy, sport, whatever we are. I don't like using the word soul, because I don't necessarily think this. I think the soul is part of the trap too. I could be wrong on that, but that's just a theory that I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole on. But in terms of who we are innately, it's. I felt like I was punctured, these are metaphysical things I'm talking about, but like or like something was trying to puncture me to get in. Not just in terms of like a possession, like on a deeper level, and then you spend the rest of the time having to stay grounded in who you are. I didn't even know I was doing sovereign exercises during this period of time that you're asking me about right after. But essentially, that's what I was doing. It's just like I've as a teenager, as a punk rocker, and I've always had that stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. And the type of authority we have here, I've always been, excuse the language, but fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And that was that kind of, and even as a Christian growing up in that, I never, I had that attitude. I was like, I'm sorry, the idea of heaven never sounded like, oh, I'm gonna go up to heaven and sing praises to God 24/7.
Sounds
What
boring.
is that?
It's terrible.
Well, and I mean, and again, if you look at the world and then the excuse, and I'm sick, whether it's Buddhism, Hinduism, I've either really peripherally looked at all of those or even done some of them went deeper into it, but everybody makes excuses. If I treated my children the way that God, a supposed God, has created the world and the way that we're treated here, I would go to prison for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But so we're more moral than, so my thing is, and I would always ask this, so we're more moral than God. And I was always told that, well, you just don't understand God's ways and it's not your place to question.
God works in mysterious ways, Angie. You know that.
I know. I never got that through my head. So yeah.
Do you know what? It really annoys me when when there's some kind of drama, someone's died, and people just say prayers, praying for you. I just find that so lazy. Like it's not. It's just like if something happens to me, I don't want anyone's prayers. Like I swear, just leave. Just.
I know, right?
Yeah. Like,
or blessings. No blessings either. Just keep your blessings to yourself, right? Keep your be less to yourself. You be less to yourself.
Be less. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, I'll tell you guys a quick story real quick. And speaking of being blasphemous, and if people get offended on your channel, I guess I should apologize in advance, but I had to was raised Catholic, and then as a teenager with foster parents, ended up going to a private Southern Baptist Christian high school, and for 5 days a week. And you actually had Bible class. That was one of your classes. So we actually took tests. Like I used to know the whole book of Proverbs almost by heart. We spent a whole year on that damn book of the Bible. But they would take prayer requests at the beginning of class. Now, mind you, I've just lost my mom. I'm 14 or almost 15. I lost my mom 6 months before, and lost the rest of the family because obviously I'm in foster care. So big stuff, right? Big things you're dealing with. And these people are praying for stuff like, hey, I put doing my homework. I put it off, and now I got to try to get this assignment done. And oh, I want my mom to buy me the $60 shirt, like all this shit. And I'm sitting in there, and my head shaved, by the way, like Sinead O'Connor, because the foster parents I had didn't like the mohawk that I had. So here I'm a bald girl, teenager, and it occurs to me as they're praying after the teacher's taking their prayer request. I was like, if I was Jesus, I would tell these bitches, like all you're doing is asking me stuff. So I'm sitting in the back row, and I kind of start doing this punk riff, like I'm playing guitar. And I'm like, da 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 da. Jesus says, "Fuck you," in the middle of this Bible class. So that's kind of my mindset with. But I guess that's why I'm surprised I didn't come to the realization that you and Devin had like much sooner. Because I literally Devin's helped me a lot. I was already kind of watching a few things, and then so I'm very new, like June, but I'm taking to it like a duck in water, Tony, thanks to you and Devin and others like you. So
no, you're doing really well, and I want to go to Devon, but just briefly before, I just want to touch on the whole God thing, religious thing. I've worked with people down the years that have actually gone back into memories where they had trauma about being told as a kid that they would go to hell. Imagine that.
I was battling full-on schizophrenia for like an entire year and a half, battling for my life. I lost my insanity. I was trying to like off myself all the time. It was so bad. And, the voices, it was like, they were just so terrible. And the things that they can tell you, whether or not they're entities or whether or not it was me just, losing my head for that long.
I'd say they're definitely entities.
Yeah.
I'd say they're definitely entities.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they can take such a powerful hold on you and say the things that they know will just tear you down completely. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible time. So for me, it took a lot to get my mentality back to become grounded and centered again.
Because I can't imagine you as being like an alcoholic. Like you come across so grounded and your energy's so light. Like it's really it's strange to hear you say that now. So I'm seeing this dude with a demon, and the demon noticed that I noticed him. And he got really aggressive, like, "What the F are you looking at?" Like really up in my face, like confrontational. Now I know the demon obviously didn't want me to see what it was, and now I know why that guy's energy was off so bad, because he's got this demon working through him.
Wow.
It was crazy. And I saw demonic faces in all the bottles of gin. They were like all contorted, like all long, like
oh wow,
ghoulish. Yeah. And I'm like to my mate, I'm like, look at that, and now I know that alcohol itself contains entities. It's not that it just opens you up. You open yourselves up, but when you drink it, you're actually drinking entities as well. That's why they call it gin, right? Gin and demons. Gin and tonic is gin in the UK.
When I asked a Christian if God created Lucifer, knowing Lucifer because God knows all things, and Lucifer falls, then God essentially creates evil by virtue. Well, no, you just don't understand God. If you ask anybody to that question, well, what does it mean that we're all one? Well, and then this is their answer usually. Well, you know that we're all part of Source. Okay, what does that mean? Because I'm distinctly me, you're distinctly you. And have you guys ever had anybody explain that to you? What the hell they're talking about when they throw that term around?
Well, no, just with like new age buzzwords, not really putting any meat on the bones. Just a load of gobbledygook, really. From my point of view, I don't know if you have, Devon.
Yeah, no, it's just Yeah, you hear it all the time, especially in the life between lives, any of the past life regressions too. Oh, just we're all one consciousness, and your guides and all those entities will tell you, hey, you just return back to source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed, like, from the stories I've heard, you either have people, well, that, like, 'cause you could say that without the perspective Devin has, that her experience would have been positive. Because initially she thought she was getting some divine. That's how it goes. This is the blanket statement for all of it. Plant-based medicine will lead you one of two ways. You're going to either feel like you had some spiritually transcendent, oh, I got the insights to how the universe works. Look at me, woo. And you're walking barefoot, getting other people to trying to buy your books or go to your fucking retreat or whatever. Or you have horrible trips. And there's I've never heard anybody say, so I had this really chill, when I was tripping balls, it was really chill. It never goes that way. And so for people who have argued with you, and again, I'm sure you've never told somebody, no, you don't have control over other people. Nobody, I don't know why people take it so personally. Nobody's saying you can't do it. You have free agency. What we're saying as people who have done it, and maybe you haven't yet, if you've done it before and you haven't had a bad experience with it yet, give it time and consider what you're opening yourself up to. Nobody's saying we're controlling you, but I think the fact that you've been advocating for this, Tony, and that's why I was willing to come on here, is because I don't think for my point of view, I don't think anybody should be messing with it. Again, they have their own free agency, but hello, anybody familiar with the band Pink Floyd knows that he lost his mind. He had done so much acid.
Yeah, and I find, like, the biggest, like I say, the most hate I get is not from New Agers, it's from these plant medicine people. And I know why I get so much hate from them is because they're doing so much plant medicine, they're opening themselves daily, weekly to entities. So then the entities are working through them and having a go at me through these people. So I'm at the point where I don't take any of it personally, but I know why they are so aggressive with.
Oh, I see.
It's because they're doing all of this that they're so full of hate and violent for me, because I'm saying it's not so good, and that's a threat to the entities that are working through these very people. So I see the whole picture, but as always, people can do what they want. They have their own free will. What we're doing here on this podcast is we're presenting the other side that doesn't get spoken about. And even more than that, sometimes on these ayahuasca trips, people have died on these ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah.
Do you hear any of these people talking about that side of it? Never. Like, they never talk about that side. There's never.
What about the sexual assault is occurring too?
Yeah, never any after.
No.
Yes, the sexual thing that quite often the shaman is.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean.
Or people being robbed even. It's. My dumbass was thinking about going to Costa Rica, and at the time I was a lot more functional. The disability hadn't gotten so bad, but I was like, yeah, that's a real good idea. You're going to go down there and gimp around in the jungle. That ain't going to work too well for you. You know what I mean? But and that's I guess I wanted to do this too. I didn't mean to interject, but people, if listen, I get it. You get desperate. I mean, you want to get well. You're going to do. You might. I mean, I have considered maybe I'd sell my soul. I wouldn't, but you get desperate because you're miserable. But please, this is not the way.
No.
A lot of people do it for their illnesses, and it's not. Look, I did it. I did 5 grams, and I did microdosing, and it didn't do anything. And I can tell you the New Agers to stay away from, and the books not to buy, because and the binaural beats not to listen to. All the stuff Tony said earlier, I've done it all. Even bought a little bottle of holy water from Mexico and drank it.
Halloween is the day where most children go missing in the calendar year.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's the day that most children go missing, and what they do is they will take homeless people off the streets and promise them food and shelter, and then they'll go and sacrifice them.
But they're like, this many people in the last 30 years died. This is how many actual graves there were available to bury them in, which was nowhere near enough. And if some of those were cremated, well, then we're still, for the last 30 years, we're missing like 15 million people.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Well, where are they? And then that's like, now I don't want to go buy meat from the grocery store because I'm like, I'm freaking out about it, right?
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
No.
But yeah, McDonald's and all that. Please don't eat McDonald's, guys.
Oh no.
Oh, dude.
But everything's just a horror. Like, to your point, it's just. When I watched your first episode and you were like, well, here's your shit sandwich. It really is. It's I don't know how we don't come to these conclusions much sooner in our lives.
It's a lot. I mean, even for me, I've just watched a documentary which Europa: The Last Battle, right? It's on Odyssey. It's 12 hours long, right? It's no joke, right? It tells you about what really happened in the war and all the lies we told. And you watch that, you realize the level of evil you're dealing with here. I mean, this is the thing. This is why so many people can't wake up, because they can't comprehend. When you say things like they're spraying us with like chemicals and stuff, they can't comprehend that, because in their mind, it's like, who would do that? That's too evil. And like, there's just no level to the level of evil that they will use. And if you watch that documentary, which I would say is an essential viewing for everyone, it just seems to never end, does it? But there's got to be a point to all this. There's got to be a point of like this, why so many people are waking up and information spreading, and So it can't all be in vain, is what I'm saying. So, but yeah,
Well, and do you think some of it is for people? I know it was for me, but because it was always nice having the idea that there's something bigger than you out there that cares about you. Do you think that's the thing that's the hardest for people to let go of, is that idea that there's nobody that's got their back?
I think that's a huge one. People, whether it's guides, whether it's angels, whether it's going to be, their loved ones waiting for them, whether it's God. And I always say, like, there's a grieving process. Like, when you realize that basically no one's coming to save you, you're on your own. I mean, we can like group together like we're doing,
Yeah.
which makes things a lot easier. But essentially, we're here to save ourselves, not just individually, but as a collective. And the more of us individuals that do that and step into our sovereignty, as I call it, then that affects the field, and it inspires others, and then we all start becoming our own saviors, and then hopefully this whole thing comes crashing down. That's what you'd hope. Whether or not we see the fruits of our labor in our lifetime remains to be seen. But yeah, there is a grieving process when you come along and kick people's safety pillars away, their guides, their angels, their God, and so,
yeah.
But there's enough evidence out there, like you mentioned before, Angie. Like, where is this God? Like, he's like, and I think there's a sense of feeling cosmically abandoned. I feel like that's the part of the grieving process that we go to, because we want to believe that there's something outside that has got our back. But for me now, I don't know if you guys feel the same. I get the sense that you do, that you're in your sovereign energy. I feel like I'm so anchored in my own sovereign energy. I don't feel like I need that kind of outside God, so to speak.
When you were talking about the entities, I didn't know you could see them. And so dude, you just said that you could see entities. And do you know how much liquor I drank over the years before? I don't do it anymore, but.
Can I just add on to that? It's not that I'm special or anything. It's just I've spent over 10 years training that muscle. We all have the ability to, we all have psychic abilities. We all have clear visual abilities, clear audio abilities, all these abilities, telepathy, all this stuff. But of course, we're not taught about them at school. So they lay dormant.
Right.
When you get to an adult stage, it's such a taboo thing. People are like, what? What's clear visual? What are you talking about? Call you crazy. So people don't bother. They don't bother, pursuing it. And obviously, that's all the things that we go into in the course that I've got and everything like that. So it's, it's not anything that I'm not here like, oh, I'm special. It's like, no, I've been down the gym day in, day out for 10 years, put it like that. So that muscle is strong, so that's all that is really. But
you saw it in liquor. That's the thing. I'm sitting here when you were talking about seeing entities in, alcohol, and my mind is going to, do you know how I've drank, I couldn't even tell you how many gallons of beer, how many vodka shots, how many cocktails. So I was drinking entities, just pouring them right down my gullet. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has done, right?
God, though.
Yeah, I grew up in the UK. We have a heavy drinking culture, with pubs, and that was what you did. You hit 18, you go pubs, you go to the clubs. Like I remember, I used to come back from the clubs. At the time, you could smoke in the club, so people were smoking.
Oh yeah.
And I'd come back like stinking of beer and cigarettes, and it's like, so we've all been down that, down those paths. So yeah, we drink those things. So be careful.
Wow.
If you want to crack open that bottle of wine, just remember that there's probably some ghouls inside of that. But yeah, we'll wrap this up. Yeah, I think it's great what you two are doing. I think, like I said in your podcast, I think you bounce off each other really well, and good vibes. Even you deliver the shit sandwiches very, very well, and that's a hard thing to do. So credit to you both for that. And yeah, guys, go and check them out on Souls in the Simulation. And yeah, I'll see you very soon, guys.
All right, thank you, Tony, so much.
Hi, thank you, Tony.